So, good evening, folks. Welcome back to Podcast with Neil. I just went a bit underground after the United exit of the Champions League. Very sad, but as you say, as they all say, the show must go on, and on we are. So, this is PL Weekly back again for another episode. And tonight, just building up to the Manchester Derby, the most influential game of the week, I've got Twitter King himself, Mr. Anshuman. Anshuman is from Delhi. I just invite him on screen. Anshuman, hi,
Hello.
Anshuman. So,
Hi, Neil.
and I understand the mood is a bit damp after the Leipzig defeat and the circumstance, not exactly the defeat. I understand that football is a game of wins or losses, but the circumstance of it was very unnatural. So, Anshuman, how do you think the mood is right now for fellow United supporters just before going into the most crucial match of of this calendrical year?
I think it's a bit nervous. I won't say we are, very confident that we will get the win. I just feel we are a bit nervous because we are not settled yet with what the formation we're going to play. And with the injuries, with Cavani, and Martial is not fighting up. So I just can't say, that we will go and just destroy City or something like that. It's a bit nervous because on the big occasions we do show up, but it's something that, that's still in the balance.
Now, coming up to the derby, just I'm highlighting very two influential players, and the graphic, which courtesy to Premier League, is awesome. Like these two players make the respective side stick. And if I say that it would be an understatement or actually a proper statement if I say that Bruno Fernandes is equal to what Kevin De Bruyne on his prime was. Would you agree with that?
I do think the way he has started, Bruno, and the way he is just going on. When he first arrived, everyone was like, it's the new, he's like here for like 3 4 months. The Premier League side hasn't sorted him out yet, and he will decline this and that. But the amount of chances he creates and the team he plays for, in my opinion, he is way better than Kevin De Bruyne at this moment in this season. And if just if we have a prolific striker in front of him, like KDB, in front of KDB there is Jesus and there is Sterling and there is Aguero. In front of us there is Martial. He sometimes hits, he sometimes misses. So the number of chances he creates, if someone who is like a Haaland or someone who is like a Cavani, who is a more potent finisher, then the game of KDB just goes over a notch. But yeah, in my opinion, both the players have the similarities. At this moment, Bruno is just a bit ahead for me. But obviously, Kevin De Bruyne, we just can't deny the quality of Kevin De Bruyne. He can just change the game in just a flash of a second. So we got to watch out for him in the derby.
Now, coming back to the overall derby dilemma, do you think that I understand that Leipzig's defeat and that was a crucial match, but this is expecting like being put in a group where of a finalist and a semi-finalist. We always knew that we're going to be trouble at one point or the other because this squad is just not built at that level. So, do you think at this point of time United should be more of focusing in the Premier League and giving a chance to their younger members in the Europa League and just solely consider because we are not bad in the Premier League table.
I do feel so. I do feel we should just give the youngsters a chance in the Europa League. If we somehow go to the later stages like of semis, then we can try to put some of the first team players. Otherwise, we should give the chances. We should give chances to youngsters like Mengi, you know, Tunzebe, and even Mejbri is there, Led is there. So we should give them opportunities. If we lose, we lose. That's fine. They should just have the experiences. Even Pelestri is there. Traore will arrive in January. So these guys should just, go and just express themselves in the Europa League. All right, it's a competition. It's an European competition. We should play to get the win. But at the end of the day, if we are doing well in the Premier League table, we should just sacrifice that tournament for, so that our players are fit going into the later stages of the Premier League competition.
Definitely, very well said. And thanks, Rohit, for joining in. Rohit says that let's hope Rashford lifts up his performance today. Rashford has been Rashford has been very destructive, if I must say, in front of goal. He has been clinical. He has been selfish. He has been on and off. So before we get back to the Bruno and KDB saga, which we'll continue this show mostly with, do you think Rashford plays a very vital role as concerns over Martial's and Cavani's fitness still large loom at this point of time?
At this point of time, for me, Rashford is the second best player in the team after Bruno. And I do feel if we have to get the best out of Rashford, he is a runner. He's a willing runner. He can play on the wings. If someone like Cavani would have started, it would have given him ample opportunities. Cavani would have hold the ball and he could have just, pass it through to the Rashford. The problem I think with Rashford is his position is not, fixed. Sometimes he's playing as, as a striker, sometimes on the left, sometimes on the right. So that affects his consistency. But at the end of the day, he's playing in the Premier League for like 5 years. And I do expect better decision making from him, Like even in games, even in the Leipzig game, he had the ball. There were 4 United players in the box and he decided to shoot just into the face of, Gulacsi. So for me,
If I
if he
just
can, for
if I
me, if
just
he can,
highlight the slide over here, see, even as you were saying correctly, that even the one before where Greenwood had an opportunity to pass to Rashford. I was just going into this a bit later, but since you brought this up, like there are others. McTominay is coming in a better position. He can just slide the ball. Greenwood, if you pass him there, it's a sure goal because look at the goalkeeper's positioning. Is it
yeah,
like I have seen this with United strikers? Is it such a message from Oli and his team? Like if you are a striker, you got to shoot. Like we see, if this was a Pep Guardiola side, they would have passed the ball in. What is the
I don't
difference
think
there?
it is always. I don't think it is always message to the shoot, even if he can pass. His message would be like, you can have a shot at the goal if you are just outside the box. If there are no players around, just have a go. It might deflect in. It might go from the deflection and might go inside. But I don't think Ole is telling Rashford, if you see Greenwood, don't pass him, just go for the shoot. It's his personal decision making that letting the team down rather than the coach, the manager's message that, you don't have to pass the ball. No manager says that, you don't have to pass the ball if you see your teammates. He got to pass the ball. It's common sense. If a striker, if your strike partner is almost free, you don't have to be the Masiha all the time, that you are going for the glory. Just pass the ball to him. There is an empty net. He makes
Maybe
amazing. He takes amazing decisions at times, and then all of a sudden he's like back to his selfish thing, and there we are like just out of the proportion.
very very confusing, if I must say, because this just comes down to plain inexperience, because not getting your head up in crucial moments and taking that shot with all of his might. Sometimes will go in, sometimes will have that deflected shot at the back of the net, but most of the times it just gets deflected. But coming back to the experience saga, here are two men who are at top of their powers at the Premier League at this moment of
And
time.
hey, Neil, before we go into Bruno and KDB, I won't
Mhm.
say experience is a problem with Rashford right now. He is not Greenwood. He is not someone like McTominay or something. This guy is playing the top tier football for 5 years now. He is one of the senior members, you can say. He has almost more than 150, 175 games for us. You can't say that it's just inexperience. This is basic common sense. You see a teammate, you see he's in front of the goal is empty, you pass the ball to him. This is not, Ole is not gonna teach you to pass to a guy who is just sitting idle, in front of the goal. You get the ball, all right. If there is no help, okay, fine, you have the ability, you can shoot. But that happens, you can score 1 out of 10, 1 out of 15 times. So, it just might go in, take a deflection, goes like that. But you can't rely on that all the time. That's my main issue with Rashford is, he can just come up, prime Henry one day, cutting from the left, scoring left, right, and center, and from on the next day he's just like a shamak, don't know what to do in front of the goal. So
It's very very
that's the main
yeah, go
that's
on.
the main problem. That's the main problem we have with our strikers for the last 5-6 seasons. I too feel Cavani, till the time he is here, should lead our line. His movement is just too good. As a striker, he knows from where he could just spot in and make spaces for his teammates. So that sort of movement is what I think Rashford can have. Even if he's not finishing that well, all right. If he can move into that space, take 2, 3 players out, then he can give the ball to others, and others can feed off him. I don't have to be a scorer all the time. That's my, that's my point is.
When have you have a very good point there? Like Mourinho in his press before he got his first job said that Rashford is a Premier League player for 5 seasons. You cannot just expect him to do such silly mistakes in front of goal, costing teams bitter points and costing team matches at the same time. So okay, moving on to a lack of experience or lack of decision making. Let us go on to two proven playmakers at this point of time in Bruno and KDB. So if I just highlight them, they are integral. They are integral at this point of time to any squad. They're integral at this point of time to any squad, any team that they would just walk in. But their stats in this, if I just go head to head on them, like you can see both of their heat map where Bruno has a more expansive route in the midfield because of lack of quality midfielders. He has to come deep more often. See, similar amounts of game time this season. Bruno has 7 goals, 4 assists. KDB in that you put Bruno Fernandes in this team. Anshuman, I'm just going to ask you this. You put Bruno Fernandes in this team and you put Kevin De Bruyne at Man United. Do we see the same kind of numbers that are exempted, or just Kevin De Bruyne is just needs that bit of an Aguero or a Gabriel Jesus or a prime Sterling or a Sane, Leroy Sane to actually exploit his prowess at this point of time?
In my opinion, these two players have a totally different, uh, you can say, route to the fame. KDB went to a Wolfsburg side. He was their influential player. He scored goals. He assisted a lot. Bruno Sporting, in a totally different league, but he was their star player. From top to bottom, he was the only one who was performing week in, week out. So I do feel that Kevin De Bruyne, would have good numbers even with other teams. But in recent seasons, his numbers have lambasted just because, he got the likes of Aguero and he got the likes of, you know, uh, Jesus in front of him. It's easy for him to just feed off the ball. And it also comes down to the playing style, you know.
As well as
With
Pep Guardiola,
us,
who can discount that? As well as David Silva beside him.
yeah, in my opinion, since they have a lot of ball, KDB gets a lot more chances, you know, because others are mostly reliant on just counterattacks. City in most of the games have 70% possession. Kevin De Bruyne, just can pick up the pockets and, he can give the ball to whoever he wants. With Bruno, it's totally different. He plays in a team who is starting to rebuild. In the last season and a half, he is now the most influential player in the team, and he still lacks, the teammates around him lacks consistency, so he has to cover up for them. So it becomes bit more difficult for him. I won't say Kevin De Bruyne is, way lesser than Bruno at this moment, but I do feel with the factor of star power the City possesses, I do feel if Bruno was playing for City, the numbers would have been even more because their strikers are, in front of the goal. Likes of Aguero is way more lethal than
Clinical.
the likes of,
Clinical.
yeah, exactly. Lethal, clinical, almost the same thing. They just bang in the goals. Just feed them the ball, they bang in the goals. With
Now,
Martial, with Rashford, they miss two good chances every day, every game, and that's the main concern. On your day, if you are missing two chances, fine, you will get other chances, you might score and win the game. But then at like what happened with PSG, Martial missed
yeah,
an open goal, and after a few minutes we conceded, and then we conceded on the counter.
it's not just PSG, if I may say, even the match against Sevilla last term, like we had around 5 to 7 shots in a matter of 2 minutes. Like it's the clinicalness of what these players do not. This actually comes down to a mentality because we have seen Martial score. We have seen Rashford, both Martial and Rashford score the difficult ones, the worldies. But the most influential kind of goals, the most effective kind of goals, you see Cristiano Ronaldo popping in and putting in tap ins after tap ins. Those are the goals that win you leagues.
That
Those are the goals
yeah,
exactly.
that's what my point is, that you can't be so inconsistent in a league, where you are expected to win every game. You are spending a lot of money. You are, trying to bring in the best players. But if you keep on doing the same mistakes week and week out, this United team can go on today and score four, and this United team can go on today and concede four.
Exactly.
They are so unpredictable. No one expected us to do a double over City last term, and we totally, completely dominated those two games. It was
Absolutely.
not a fluke. At Etihad, we could have scored 5 goals in the first half, in the first 15-20 minutes.
If we had a
So
better
we
finisher than
have the
Dan James.
yeah, exactly. We have the firepower. We have the firepower. It's just about just putting the ball in the net. You can't rely on world class goals or getting 10 chances and converting to two. It's not gonna happen every time.
Now, talking about, we talked about playmakers, but those who are unquestionably influential and at the peak of the powers. The one player that we cannot get the most out of is Paul Pogba, and the way his agent came out and started blabbering shit on social media or his press conferences, like it's if I'm Paul Pogba, if I'm Mino Raiola, I'm getting out the best deal for Paul Pogba as well as a fat paycheck, fatter than my ass. If I'm Mino Raiola, don't imagine my ass right now, whoever is watching. But at the same point of time, if Paul Pogba doesn't have that control over his agent, because surely he must have known, he without his permission, Mino Raiola wouldn't have gone over to the media and spoken shit just before two of the most crucial matches before the derby and the UCL eliminator. And do you think it's high time we show him the door? It's high time that even if he's a good player, I remember watching Moneyball yesterday, like Brad Pitt, and suddenly threw out someone who and just was one of his great players, one of an all-star, and he just threw them out, stating that I'm cleaning shop. Is it time to clean shop at United? Because having Van de Beek, there's not much of a deficit. What do you think, Anshuman?
But Pogba should have been sold 2 years back. I won't even come to this season. He is a pain in the ass for everyone. One good season, you know, and you know the like so many things we could say about him, but the one thing that I'm really going to point out is Bruno came in, he slotted in, he made the others around him take play the game. You know, for Pogba, all we need is two players around him like this, three players around him like this, and then he might perform to the level which is expected. Get the shit out of him, you know, get whatever money you can, even if it's for free, just sell him. He's a bad influence on the
Exactly.
squad.
This juggernaut, I would just like to highlight to you. Paul Pogba was frustrated with United's lack of signings and better players around him. We bought Bruno. We tried Pogba in the number 10 position, didn't work out. We bought Bruno. He was playing exceptionally well on the way on the form goal. Like no one has three Premier League Player of the Month within his. It's not even in 1 year. It's around 11, 10 odd months. And Bruno Fernandes has three Premier League Player of the Month, countless Man of the Match, even scored a Goal of the Week award. And you see suddenly Paul Pogba in an inferiority complex, suffering from a bloody inferiority complex, stating not publicly that he wants to play that Bruno Fernandes role. Like why is even this even a context at this point of time? You play for France week in week out behind the number 10. You play well. Why are we have seen countless number of times when Paul Pogba has let go of his man and that costed in errors. A Van de Beek wouldn't do that. McTominay, not as creative, wouldn't do that. So why this even a context? Ansuman, I agree to your point that it should be 2 or 3 years back, 2 years back that Paul Pogba should have been sold and we should have continued with Mourinho in another stance. But do you think it is this team that is at fault that not getting the best out of Pogba, or will the same conundrum purview in his next club as well? Not much, just briefly. I don't want to waste time on a wasted prospect.
I don't expect Pogba to do anything, to be very honest. If a player who's putting on the shirt, and coming to the field and he's lethargic, simple as that. He just don't, come in, week out and give, 100%. Like if someone takes the ball off Pogba's feet, that's done. You know,
Exactly.
he can, he won't even try to. And when he tried to, he put up a tackle in the penalty box against Arsenal, where it was just not needed. So defensively, he is a liability. Creativity wise, all right, he is good, he can do wonders, but that wonder come once in 10 matches, 15 matches. So we don't need a player like that in a squad which is already, trying to build and already struggling. You put in hard workers, improvement players like Fred. Everyone just pushed him off that, he's a waste of money, he won't do anything. And then manager showed him trust. He put in Fred week in, week out, and he delivers. All right,
Suddenly
PSG
he's a
was a
different
bad
player
team.
altogether. Absolutely.
Yeah, the manager has shown him trust, and he is putting up the hard work. He is not doing anything exceptional, he is not putting the diagonals or something. He's just doing the basics right, and he knows he just have to, disturb the play in the middle of the park, and then the front three, front four will do his job, will do their jobs. So that's why I do feel getting rid of Pogba, even if it's the winter window, just get rid of him, you know. And I don't expect a 70, 80 million deal.
50 would suffice
Even if,
any day.
yeah, 50, 55 is max. Get that money, try to bring in a DM, play Bruno, Van de Beek, and then for next season, if a good talent is available, then we can see. If we have Mejbri coming in from the academy,
Absolutely. Tailor-made
and I don't
replacement.
feel, yeah, and I don't feel we need to spend 80, 70, 80 million for any other player. Just bring in a good CDM who can just give the freedom to to Van de Beek and Bruno upfront, and they can do their jobs. That's it. Pogba
Right.
is done as United. If it's in 1 month, if it's in 6 months, or if we are not able to get anyone to buy him, make him rot on the bench. Don't even start him for under 23s. Ruin his Euros, ruin his World Cup, and then we will talk to Mino Raiola. Then we will see how much he talks in social media.
Legit, legit. Thanks, Aniket. Aniket says whatever we expect of Pogba, Bruno has done it easily. I was even thinking to change my password to Pogba because no one can bloody unlock him. That's
Yeah,
hilarious. Okay,
that yeah.
Shojan says that is there any other creative mid leaving VDB and Bruno? Just Shojan, I'm going into that. Just let me just dive into the next segment of this where I talk about Van de Beek. So Anshuman, we were having this discussion a while back. How bloody important is Van de Beek in today's match, considering City's pressing, dynamic pressing and midfield oriented set of play?
100% sure shot started. If we don't start tonight, I don't know what the scoreline gonna be after first half. We need his presence. It's not just his technical abilities, but he can make the runs, he can make the dirty fouls, he is a presence in the box. What else do you need? He's a proper midfielder. He will drive, he will keep on running. He just don't make mistakes, and even if he make mistakes, he try to, just get them out of the game and try again.
Those are very rare. The mistakes that he does, the mistakes that he commits are actually very rare. Now, if I speak a
Yeah,
bit tactically over if I speak a bit tactically over here, if you see the likes of Rodri who commit very tactical fouls as per Pep Guardiola, you see Bruno, you see Van de Beek. If I'm sorry, you see Van de Beek does not hold the ball for more than 2 seconds. If he just releases the ball with one touch play, and the passes that he releases are always forward. One foul, one dirty foul by Rodri, and he gets on the book. That's game over for Rodri, and Bruno Fernandes can have a beast of a performance. Considering the referee is not left Leipzig match, I hold my hands up. But again, going on to
yeah,
the same fact. Yeah, go on,
yeah,
Anshuman.
that's what I'm saying. We should go with a 4-4-2 because we still don't know whether it's Cavani is fit or not. Even if Cavani is fit, we should go with a proper 4-4-2. Start Bruno, start Van de Beek, shield him with McTominay and Fred. Go with a traditional back four. Please don't play De Gea. Start Henderson, and we are sorted for the game. At least we will go out and play the way we should. We don't have to tickle with anything. If Pogba starts today, I don't think what I'm going to do.
Absolutely, the fact on Dean Henderson is a very interesting take because he's very vocal in the West Ham match that we won 3-1 when he came on at halftime. No, it was Sheffield that he came on at halftime. That match, he was so vocal. Like, if you are a striker, let me just put this into perspective. If you are a striker and you hear the goal, and there's a ball in the air, and you hear a goalkeeper saying, it's mine. You hesitate for even that millisecond, you hesitate. And De Gea, it's like he comes on the match with a sellotape in his mouth. So much lack of communication within United's defense at this point of time. We almost scapegoat Maguire, but De Gea has everything to do with that. He should be
Yeah,
claiming those balls. He should be coming for the score. What do you think on this?
I, that's what I said after the game. That it's easy to just say Maguire was at fault. What was the guy doing? Instead of making himself big, he made himself small. He didn't even touch the ball. He just don't try. He is like, all right, I am in this team.
Like he's
He is
getting
on a
continuous free passes even after mistakes.
yeah.
Unacceptable.
It's 2 years now. It's 2 years. It's 2 years now. He is on a 19 million contract. He just he just don't give, just don't care. We concede a goal. You can just look at his face and he is like, all right, let's get the game started.
Now,
He
if
will
you
make
want
three.
my if you
Yeah,
want
he
my
will make three
opinion,
Yeah,
go on.
yeah. I'm just going to say that he will make three mistakes in the game. He will just come with one good save, and everyone will like, oh, he just redeemed himself. What did he redeem? He lost us the game. Simple as that. You just
Now,
can't redeeming yourself after making mistakes.
if you want my opinion on this take, like De Gea was never a good goalkeeper. He's a good shot stopper. He was never a good goalkeeper. Dean Henderson with his vocal and especially Dean's distribution, which I highlighted last time when I was doing a podcast, it was second best to Alisson more than Ederson. That he had more number of successful passes from a goal kick or a similar spot on the opponent half, and that resulted in a goal that Pogba took against West Ham. That was from a Dean Henderson clearance. Like I have never seen De Gea that brilliant. He was a brilliant shot stopper, but those reflexes saves will dry up at some point of time. Now talking, just
That
going
has
on to the
dried
other,
up. That has dried up. To be
absolutely
honest, that has dried up. If you look at his 2 years, after the World Cup, how many reflective saves he has made?
very
Not
few,
many.
very few, absolutely a few here and there. That's it.
Yeah, and he has actually conceded from distance more often than not. You can take the Xhaka's goal against Arsenal few seasons back. You can look at Mason Mount's goal in the FA Cup semis. He just have no idea. He has just lost it. Simple as that.
Even Coutinho's goal for Barcelona, he prime De Gea saves that day week in week out. It was
Yeah,
central.
that's what I'm saying.
Are totally unacceptable at this point of time. So going on to another thing, like one goalkeeper's weakness is like highlighted. If we speak about errors and goalkeeping decisions, none other than Ederson comes to mind. So if I highlight where City's weakness lies at this point of time, so just if you see the screen, this is the this is the goal that, just a second. This is the goal that Ndombele scored. Ndombele actually played the ball. If you see this, Ndombele at least playing the ball. Heung-min Son is on the run. This is where City's defense is at its most vulnerable. Your wing City are never cool with their wing backs tucked in. They are more expansive out wide or coming in the underlap. But here you see Harry Kane being double marked, leaving space for either Son or even Bergwijn, who's not in the picture here. Bergwijn is here. He should be at least over here. That creates a 3v3 opportunity, just like that, a 3v3 opportunity. And I'm coming to Anshuman on a bit, and as I said, a goalkeeping mistake, a ball out wide, Ederson doesn't need to come out. If he stays in here, it's a very difficult ball for Son. And we have seen how many times, like the McTominay goal that we scored, the game was still there and he just came out and did nothing. Do you think Ederson is, even though he's a good goalkeeper, but he tries to overplay sometimes, and that is quite unnecessary, and he will get punished in the Premier League? Have you say on this?
City's defense, in my opinion, is just like us, unpredictable.
Mm-hmm.
They can be great one day and they can just make silly mistakes another day. With Ederson, what happened in the previous seasons was, the other teams were lacking that much attacking threat. And since they came to know that, City's defense, they thought City, all right, just hit them on counter. And City were pretty much safe, They could just, and City always plays a high line. So it's easy for any team to have them on counter because most of the times they play the game with one CDM. That's Rodri.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so they will give you chances. It's now on us to whether we can, punish them or not, because it's gonna be an end-to-end game. If we take our chances, we will be in. If they take their chances, they will be in.
Now, talking about the starting lineup, well, I have just devised a model where what I think should be the starting lineup today, considering City's dominance in midfield. You have Fred or McTominay, anyone would do. I selected Fred because he had 2 games off, and you just don't need that much of a height against Manchester City. So suppose I have gone with Luke Shaw because of a defensive purpose, because Marcus Rashford is not that much keen this season to drop back that much. Martial, I've just kept him. I hope he's fit because we need him at this point of time, because none of the
Even if
strikers
he's
except
fit, I'm not going to start him.
okay, because Alex Telles has actually got rid of his man at two crucial moments. Even the first Leipzig goal, even the first West
No,
Ham goal, even Alex Telles lost his man.
totally agree with your lineup. Apart from the fact that Martial is in there,
You have no other option. Even if
no, we have.
I'll just go.
Yeah, take him out, play these two up front, bring in an extra midfielder, bring in McTominay. We will need that cunning, that tactical pause where they will be running off and we will have to, just somehow do something.
Now, what happens in this formation, if I may say, Mason is out wide, Rashford is here. Bruno often drops in this false nine role. What creates a problem, which was very much evident against Leipzig, is that this triangle, in playing this space was pretty much overlooked, and that is where Leipzig won the match on midfield. You could see just Matic and McTominay just going
We
out there
started
and
with a
chasing
three.
shadows.
We started with a 3-5-2, and you know, we were not playing 4-4-2 till the first half ended.
Right.
When we got the 4-4-2, we scored 2 goals. We didn't concede any. That third goal, obviously, it was a mistake. It was not something they, just came out of the blue. It was our doing rather than their doing. So when this thing happens, when this space is created, this space can be manned by McTominay and Van de Beek together if they are playing in the game. And if Cavani is even 80% fit, start him in the game. Take him off after 10. Yeah.
Suddenly, sorry for the camera. Suddenly, if Cavani is available at this point of time, you just see how the triangle actually flips. You see Rashford coming in a bit deep.
When this happens, when Cavani plays, there is not going to be triangle as such, because Bruno and VDB will be exchanging positions. Those two will be making the runs. McTominay and Fred will sit deep and cover up the position which you are saying, the spaces. They will covering up the spaces. If Cavani is there, Rashford can, Cavani can just come in deep, hold the ball. Rashford can make his own runs. So that's what suits us, because Cavani will bring on a physical presence. City dread physical presence. None of their defenders are very good physically in the air.
So with Cavani and Van de Beek, it is just a formation that I'm highlighting on screen here. Van de Beek in and around the support striking role, Bruno out wide being the crosser, Cavani the most forward and coming, drifting out wide, Bruno drifting here and there, and Rashford sitting up there. This is, I think, the blueprint which Wolves or Crystal Palace used against Man City. Same 4-2-2-2 kind of a formation, block them out wide and hit them on the counter. This is what we exactly.
We have the creativity, as I said. All we got to do is, kill their midfield supply. If we kill their game with Kevin De Bruyne, that's half their game gone.
Now, Kevin De Bruyne is like we have seen numerous times. Kevin De Bruyne getting too much deep, like the same thing we saw Neymar versus United in the first match. Like he was going too deep to influence the play, and that is what happens when you frustrate an opponent. And we have seen Kevin De Bruyne not essentially at his sparkling best when he's not getting those through balls. And that's why I think Fred is more important today. But one thing I would want to
That's what
ask
I am
you,
saying. Fred and McTominay in the midfield. Fred will get the interceptions, but we need a presence, who will do the tactical fouls. What happens with Fred is when McTominay do a foul, then he knows, all right, he is on a caution. No, with Fred, since he has to do more interceptions, go more after a player, he will keep on committing the fouls, and that's where it gets dangerous. So I don't want that. That's why play both of them, and then in front of him, Bruno and VDB.
just divulging out for a topic for a bit, and we'll come to the predictions in the final segment of the match. Just asking you your thoughts on FPL. Just I'll give mine first. Like I've had Vestergaard, and people who have had taken Thomas Suchek had been millionaires. So at this point of time, Ziyech being confirmed out for at least another 3 to 4 weeks. Do you think what whom do you suggest that FPL managers take in, like a Ward Prowse
In front,
or even go on?
yeah, in place of whom? I didn't get that question.
Ziyech.
In place of GH, if people have Grealish, then fine. Grealish is a ample replacement. He can just come slot in. If not, then yeah, Ward-Prowse is a pretty good option because he takes the free kicks, he takes the set pieces, and with the height advantage they have, Southampton, they will always score with the set pieces and the crosses.
And Vestergaard has been
So
doing wonders at this point of time.
yeah,
So
that's what I'm
just
saying. If you put up the balls in, someone's gonna get their head in somehow. If you put in five times, not with us, our headers are over the bar or we make a foul.
Captain
That's how we do
Maguire,
it. Yeah,
like I was,
he always try to just push the player down instead of just rising and putting up the head. And
like
before
I was,
even if you could head the ball, referee is like, all right, you're out of here.
like I was just joking the other day. Like even when we get a corner, it's better to at least give them a goal kick because Maguire is going to go there and just make a foul. It's very rare that he scores. He
Yeah,
gets on the end of the header.
the only good header I can remember from Maguire was against Chelsea. That was some
Even
header,
Newcastle as
you
well.
know.
Newcastle as well.
Yeah. So if he can just keep his shoulders down, his hands down, then only he can, even try to make the header. Otherwise, the referee will just pull up the whistle.
Every time because he's known for that,
Yeah,
committing that. So okay,
yeah.
just wrapping up this show. Prediction time. Anshuman, with your favored lineup, Van de Beek starting, Telles starting, we play a 4-4-2. What do you think is going to be the scoreline? It's difficult, but
No, I won't start Telles. In this game, I won't start Telles. His defensive game is, I can say, a bit shambolic. You know, he just get out of position too many times. He is not yet up to the pace in the Premier League. He's taking at the Portuguese league. He can just make the forward runs and deliver the crosses. I won't mind a 3-5-2 if Cavani is totally fit. Then I will play Telles. I will start Tunzebe. I will bench Shaw, and I will go AWB with the wing back, and then in the midfield, the two midfielders, and then Bruno.
Bruno, Rashford, and Cavani.
Yeah, Bruno, Rashford, and Cavani. So,
Predictions.
and if we are, I don't predict, to be very honest. I never make predictions about United games, especially if the big game, because I just go into the big games with no hopes, to be very honest. As a United fan, I go into the games with no hopes because this team is one of the most unpredictable team in the world right now. As I said, we
Even
might go and
unpredictable in
score.
their own halves. You see two different United teams in two
They
halves.
might, yeah, that you know,
You're
we
still
might
visible.
just go to. Yeah,
Hmm.
I said we might just go today and in 25 minutes we score 4 goals. Yeah, that's how it is. We
if
might.
if we do that, I'm just going to do a sort of Ganguly celebration coming live at halftime. I'm legit going to, if we score 4 goals, and send you a box of Rashogolla straight from Bengal. That's it. I said it. You heard it here. But on the realistic amount of things, I would say rather it is a 50-50 game, provided we don't start a back five, and even if we start one, we don't start Van de Beek because he's that much crucial.
Yeah, in my opinion, as I said, this game could go in anyone's direction. It's about taking the chances we get. And if we keep on fumbling the chances, we might end up with a scoreline like 3-0, 3-1, or even 4. So we don't have to give them spaces, because our defense is unpredictable, just like our attack. One day they might turn into Prime Aldini, heading out everything, making all the tackles. And next day they are like Prime Jones, doing nothing. Because Prime Jones didn't do anything. And he is now on the bench. So
the juggernaut that is Manchester United is all up for grabs at this moment of time. You are
and I
in
just
you
hope
know your
I
side.
just hope that before the game, Rio Ferdinand don't say Ole is at the wheel. Otherwise we are losing the game for sure.
Like legit, Rio Ferdinand. Someone should take away social media provinces from Rio Ferdinand. If Rio Ferdinand's agent is listening, take away his cell phone. You can come and after the game and like he
Yeah,
has jinxed
exactly.
it
The
from
moment
that day.
he's juju, his juju is worse than the tantrics who do over things here. The moment he is like Ole is at the wheel and everything starts to crumble. Just take
Like
his phone for
signing the
2 hours.
contract.
Yeah,
That I remember that
just
picture.
take his phone for 2 hours, or even for 3 hours before the game.
We should contact his kids at this point of time.
Yeah, or his wife, just to tell him that don't write Ole is at the wheel. Everything is fine.
On that note, as I said, we'll conclude this show here. The juggernaut that is Manchester United is up for taking. You know your sides, whether you're Ole in or Ole out, but that does not matter before a match of consequences of Manchester Derby. So
Yeah,
thank you,
that's
Anshuman.
that's one of my message to everyone listening, that whether you are Ole in, Ole out, doesn't matter. End of the day, we are just supporting the same team. All right, he is not a very good tactician, or one of the world's best managers, but then he is doing things in a proper way. He is trying to get us the wins. He has been terrific since Bruno has arrived, and I do still feel so that if he get his 2 or 3 signings, a proper striker, a right winger, and a CDM, he will do wonders with this team. So I just hope that, all right, fine, you can have your differences, you can abuse the manager, anything, but when it comes to just don't start praying that he gets the sack,
Absolutely.
and we should
Like
lose.
some
And
people are
this is
rooting that
all
we
sort of
lose
bullshit.
against Man City. Exactly, so that he gets sacked. Absolutely
Yeah.
uncalled for.
See, I don't I will just say honestly, I don't even consider them fans. Ranting is one thing, criticizing is one thing, but expecting, hoping that your team loses just so your manager gets the sack is just, it's not gonna make the cut. You are not a fan. Simple as that.
Especially when we are 3 points of the top of the table with one game in hand. Like mental. It's mental.
Exactly.
He's us United fans are very much unpredictable at this point of time. So we thank Anshuman for his time. If you're tuning into I Love United, that's going on. That's scheduled to go on in a few minutes. Anshuman is
Yeah.
going there. We'll be asking your questions. Anshuman, just guide your followers. He's a Twitter king. He has almost 10K followers. Like so, he just a message that you'd say to people who want to watch that, and a few things that you might ask York or Cole very briefly.
Actually, in I Love United, I am attending this virtual thing for the first time because this is the Corona stuff. And
Mhm.
before that, we used to have a venue, and they go to the cities, and there is a proper park, and fans go over there and watch the games together. So this is for the virtual. This is first time virtually. So I think
Mhm.
we will get just one question to ask from either York or Cole, or even both are sitting over there. So let's see how it goes. If they can, if they allow me to ask other questions, then I might pop in 1 or 2 more. Because last time when I talked to Dennis Irwin, it was like just one question, but I continued, made it 2 or 3, just a sub question type of thing.
Lucky. You're
Yeah,
lucky.
and he was more than happy to answer, and he was very happy, with the question. So
It was a good
He's
experience, so I'm looking forward to
Yorkie is
this.
a great guy. Yorkie is a great guy. I remember 3 years to the date in 2017 when United hosted Tottenham. He came to Kolkata for I Love United campaign, and I was there, shook his hand, all awestruck, and he even played in front of us. That was a majestic, and he's such a down to earth guy. He
Yeah,
doesn't have that stardom around him. So that's pretty much it. We thank Anshuman for his time. Do watch him on I Love United, and I'm counting on you to ask the right question. Just don't ask him to about Jadon Sancho anymore, please. So thank you,
yeah,
Anshuman. We'll
I'm not
hope to
going
see.
to start over Jadon Sancho saga. All right.
It's January almost. It's almost January. You get those vibes coming soon.
Yeah, and it will be almost the summer, and then the next summer, and then again the next summer, and nothing's gonna happen.
Another Schneider? No, please, no. Another, not another Schneider, please.
Nah, worse than that. Because here we do have a legit chance, and we blew it away. So let's see how it goes in the next next transfer window.
So that's just about it. We thank Anshuman for his time.
Thank you, Neil.
We'll
Thank
hope
you
to
for
see.
hosting me.
Absolutely. We'll hope to have you soon again. Crucial matches
Yeah,
coming up.
definitely.
Ole in cricket. Absolutely. Thank you, Anshuman. Bidding you farewell right now. So that's pretty much about it from Podcast with Neil. Manchester Derby coming up. This week's PL has a lot of crucial matches, and I think it's time United stepped up to the game. United had their fair share of chances. It's time that we start converting. Martial needs to step up a notch. The whole team needs to step up to Bruno Fernandes's level. So that's our feature match for today. I have been a bit underground after the I've not made many videos. It's if things go well, I'll come live at halftime and describe in depth and how and where the tactical things are going on. You know how much I love tactics, right? So if you're watching this on Facebook, give this channel a subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube, absolutely give this a subscribe and a like. And I just hope, because this is the thing that I'm doing after I lost my job in the pandemic, and I think this is the way forward. Social media is the way forward, and what better to do than do things for this crest over here. This is just my life. Not taking any more of your time. Thank you all for watching. This is me. This is Neil, your favorite host. Podcast with Neil, PL Weekly. We'll come back soon with the Mank, and that's pretty much about it. So take care. Goodbye. Let's hope for a good match today on today's derby. And with that, we're ending this broadcast. Thank you for tuning in.